Man, I just can't find a comfortable headset. I mean, I've tried everything. Literally everything.
Jeez, my brother. I got you.
The HyperX Cloud 2 Wireless. Legendary comfort goes wireless.
That is comfortable.
Welcome to the NECC. The playoffs are upon us, and the excitement is so palpable, I can hardly breathe. Excuse me, and it's not just my asthma this time around. Our 4 seed in the Challengers Division, Clar3nce, finished up the year at 5-3 and is looking to put the Wildcats on the map in this first round. Staring them down, however, is an opponent that is familiarly terrifying. Sasajiro put up a clean sweep against Clar3nce in week number 4. The past looms large ahead of this best of 5 matchup in our classic conquest fashion. Excited to see who will come out on top of this quarterfinals matchup. Clar3nce, Sasajiro, let's get it cracking. My name is Ethan Dolan, probably better known as Nellhead, and tonight I'm joined by Orbital for the first time since week 1, I believe. It's been a while.
Been an extremely long time. I think the fondest memory I have of casting with you was you literally burning up your note sheet at the very end. So hopefully we get to see that again today, because again, yes, Clar3nce is the top seed, but I mean, facing an opponent that 3-0'd you, you got to be looking for a little revenge and a little bit of a pride coming back towards your way.
You're absolutely right. I think there has to be a little bit of something there. There's a little bit of animosity between these two. You know, despite being the higher seed, you put it out. A 3-0 is a 3-0 is a 3-0 is a 3-0, and every day of the week, including Tuesday, as we're into bans right here. Sasajiro going to take away that Warlock, it looks like, and Clar3nce is going to ban out the Paladin. So Sasajiro taking out that Control Warlock. I'm very surprised to not see the Secret Paladin ban. Clar3nce, on the other hand, will be taking out that Aggro Paladin that was brought by Sasajiro. So our 2 decks now off the board, Orbital. That leaves us with Clar3nce from Johnson & Wales, bringing Secret Paladin, Rush Warrior, and Clown Druid. And on the other side, Sasajiro bringing to the table Rush Warrior, Murloc Shaman, and Heal Priest. What are your thoughts now that we know the 6 deck list we will be seeing tonight?
I think we talked about this earlier as well, right? We were talking about how you know, some of these decks coming in, especially with a couple of weeks prep, right at the end of, I think, about week 6 or 7 of the regular season was actually when we saw the big shift over, the new cards coming out, right? The new meta pretty much being stacked. And immediately the first thing that caught my eye was the Priest. You don't see Priest run very often because they're literally at the bottom. Out of all the decks that you can run, out of the 8 types of decks you are currently running, Priest is sitting at the bottom. I think less than 45% win rate with their aggregate decks combined. So to see what you refer to as the heal deck, or I think exactly what he's running is considered a control Priest. It's weird. It's especially weird to see that they actually put faith into this deck. Now, whether they are assuming that this is going to be, you know, kind of that all-inspiring deck that kind of snaps them a quick win when no one's expecting it, either way, I'm still not putting a whole lot. So right now, Clar3nce really has my my go-to for the kind of powerhouse, or the one to watch for the entire time.
Yeah, and here in game number 1, we will see the Rush Warrior coming out from Sasajiro, and Clar3nce on the other side going to kick things off with the Secret Paladin. The highest win rate deck on ladder right now is this Secret Paladin, boasting a 60.64. Are you kidding me? Those numbers absolutely juiced. So we're going to see how that translates here to tournament play. Of course, ladder a little bit different. Decks that can jam a lot of games are going to prosper and win a lot more, but I'm expecting some pretty similar results. However, this Rush Warrior sitting at that nice tier 2 spot, hovering around a solid win rate as well. So this is a deck that can definitely keep up. We see Sasajiro coming out flexing with that gold border, a little bit of gold on the wrist. So we're gonna see how that turns out. First day of school coming through, gonna be able to load up the hand. Has 2 in hand if you want to get all those potential 1-drops.
Yeah, I actually pulled up an Imprisoned Sungil and a Sigil Runner, so both those kind of nice. And you can actually see, yeah, immediately going to drop that runner using that Outcast mode to get an extra card in hand. Huge thing to do with the Paladin is keep drawing, make sure to load up your hand for that the last half of the match. And with this high cost Rush Warrior, we're going to be looking for Sasajiro to bring out some of the combos, keep the board as clear as possible. And so the first thing is the Crab Rider, of course, swipe out as quickly as possible. And this is going to be great in taking care of those 1-cost minions, right? This is a card that allows you to dish out quite a bit of damage in such a short amount of time. So you can actually see here the Knight coming down, but again, 1/1s, you just want to keep those clear as quick as possible, because this Pally deck tends to have a lot of buffing abilities as well. So these ones can easily stack up to 2s, 3s, and even higher. So it is imperative that Sasajiro actually attacks those minions as often as possible, as fast as he can.
Yeah, and that Corsair going to grab an Outrider's Axe right there. Very, very solid for card draws. We're talking about these two decks that want to put a lot of things on the board, 2 decks that can be prone to run out of gas. So that Outrider's Axe having the ability at most to draw 3 cards is going to be absolutely massive on the back end for Sasajiro. In addition, being able to keep that board clean, 3 damage to anything is going to be big. Crab Rider coming through, we'll be able to trade out with other Crab Rider. Right there, solid way to control the board. But you gotta like Clar3nce's positioning here, Orbital. Pretty dominant, has some solid options in hand, sitting on a lot of potential in this 4 to 5 range.
Yeah, and if he can actually stack up some of those secrets, he already got the Cannon Master Smith, which honestly isn't great. You can actually see he had that in the early stages. I think he tried to mulligan and actually unfortunately drew the 5 cost. So he's in a slightly tight position, but not terrible against a Rush Warrior, and especially the high cost Rush Warrior. I believe Clar3nce actually has a low cost, which is between 1 and 5, and Sasajiro is actually 1 through 9. As you can see, he's actually grabbing a lot of 4s and 8s, which is, in my opinion, the worst to have in the current state of the game when you're only sitting on 3 or 4 Manitou names, because this a couple of the Murlocs coming out here is just going to be pain, because you can only drop 1 or 2 minions at a time. Sasajiro is going to feel the pain if he's not careful, and there it is already. You can see the stacking as, you know, that poor little lab partner turns into the lab menace as he just goes ahead and starts knocking some people down.
Yeah, lab menace indeed. Clar3nce able to trade out with the Rikara there. Trying to decide what to build this board. Very solid right there, and I like that holding on to Kazakus, right? Kazakus is kind of your get out of jail free card. What is the situation? In my mind, no use putting it down right now. You already have the advantage. Build it incrementally. So I really like trading on board with those resources. Really considering what to do here. Glacial Racer will come out right here, followed up with the Avenge. Not going to do a whole ton with no minions on board, and passes the turn back over to Sasajiro, excuse me.
Yeah, and actually we can see the hover on Sasajiro. He has the bits and components to actually buff up and do a massive sweep. So we see this combo actually back in the regular season. I think Blade Master Samuro, you combo it out and you can see with the frenzy it deals a lot of damage to just every single minion on the board. But to be able to hold on is the most important part. So he is praying to hold and can't drop it just yet. So he goes ahead, drops a Sword Eater instead, and is gonna start trying to dish out as much as possible. But you can see the secret is going to keep a little bit of this essence. So pretty much all the time, Clar3nce should have a 3-4 or 4-5 on the table. And now if he actually drops, oh, this is going to be so good. Go ahead and get, which one is he going to get? He is going to easily start customizing himself. I think Divine Shield here would actually be the best. There's no reason not to take it. Give yourself another extra buff. So Clar3nce goes ahead and stacks the board this early on. This is exactly where Clar3nce wants to be. There is no chance really for Sasajiro to come out with any board clears at the current moment. And there it is, just a hard buff. I mean, Sasajiro is already at a disadvantage. I think this is potentially a 2 or 3 turn lethal if he's not, if Clar3nce can keep up this board and no more taunts come out for Sasajiro's side.
Yeah, we're going to see Overlord being hovered right here. Does have Rush to trade out right away, but and that +1/+1 to minions in hand is going to help clear the board eventually with Blade Master Samuro, but it feels like it's teetering on too little too late. That's 9, 10, 11, 12 damage on board. From what Sasajiro can see, and it's only getting uglier right here. Convictions, +3 attack, that's 6, and that's it. Lethal.
Yeah, that's the buffing power of Clar3nce, and like I said, Sasajiro just got stuck with too many high cost cards in his hand, and he couldn't actually run up any of the proper setups that he was hoping. Like he said, or like I said, he had too many components, and that's the problem with this deck. The only one really that I see having that issue is if you mulligan. He actually drew the entire hand once again. So he mulliganed once, swapped out his entire hand, and still couldn't get the cards he needed to be able to pull off that win. So I'm very worried about what that means for the future of this hand. So like I said already, once the Rush Warrior has been beaten, if it happens once or twice more, that is gonna be it, simply as that.
Yeah, absolutely, and no surprise for me that Secret Paladin did take home the win in game number 1. Just looked so good. Sasajiro's going to pull all the stops here to come back. I mean, losing right out the gates isn't the most backbreaking thing in the world, but going up against this particular Rush Warrior list, going up against this Carnival Clown Druid list, it's just a tough place to be in my mind. You gotta bring, like I said, you gotta pull all the stops. You know your Chick-fil-A, they ask you, hey, you want sauce? You gotta ask for all the sauces right now. I need that Polynesian. I need the Chick-fil-A sauce. I need the buffalo. I need the ranch. And I need the one that I'm forgetting about because I know there's 5. That's what needs to happen here for Sasajiro. Orbital, do you see any way that happens? What are the practical steps to get there?
Practical steps is to pray to God that you get a good starting hand. Like, that is the whole point to this. So we go ahead, hop in, and this time it's going to be the Shaman coming out, the Murloc Shaman. So this time Sasajiro actually is going for a lower cost hand, just trying to kind of give himself a little momentum to move through the opening stages. Because again, if he loses one more, he doesn't really have a chance to do anything here. I feel if he loses this one, and I know it sounds weird to say this, I feel if he loses this one, he will not have a chance to even come back in the rest of the series. I don't think he'll be able to kind of recover in that sense. And in Hearthstone, it always feels like, you know, you have to keep a level head because the RNG can always give you stuff and it can take away stuff. So you want to make sure that you keep a level head, make sure you know what you have in your hand, and the utility and the resources, you have to properly kind of zone them out and delegate them in a proper order to be able to take a win.
Yeah, bumper card coming through is so good at helping control the board. Has rush in addition to that. Death rattle gives you more tools to deal with the board. We're going to see what Sasajiro can do here. Drops the mercenary, gets a solid size Murloc, going to trade out, leaving the 4-3 on board, so maintaining some form of early pressure, but the hand from Clar3nce is looking pretty solid, pretty well equipped to deal with it. There's an ETC to boot.
You'd love to see it if you're Clar3nce and he's like, getting the revenge here, getting the revenge, no 3-0, maybe I 3-0 you. And Sasajiro, you know, that nothing can stop us is probably one of the best cards to have. If you have Murlocs, that's the whole point that you have this, right? You have that, you want to buff up as many Murlocs as you can, and he's only sitting with 2, has that Voracious Reader on the side. But again, you can't do much with this. So far, Clar3nce so far has gotten, I want to say, all the best RNG. The RNG gods are blessing him right now. He even just goes ahead and draws the athletic studies as well. So he is just going to be rushing all over, and that's just going to cause such a huge disaster for Sasajiro, because that means he can't stack up these Murlocs, right? That's the whole point. Clar3nce, once again, understanding that, hey, as long as I keep your board clear, you actually can't do anything, and the Murloc Shaman is just going to fall off heavily.
Tent Trasher being picked up there as well. Big body on the board. Just so happens to have rush as well. Gets the discount. It's going to be so hard for Sasajiro to fight against this hand.
Oh.
Rush Warrior just so good at helping control the board, and playing that out for no value has to hurt that Velvet Navigator. Like you said, no Murlocs on the board, but still has to play it to just get something going.
Well, see, I actually would have taken the hits. So as the Shaman, I would have just, you know, for funsies, dropped a Shaman Totem and just saved your Murlocs. At that point, you only have a few to work with. Go ahead and save it, but now you lost that huge buffing ability. Your one AoE buff that you can give so many of your Murlocs, you just lost that because you thought that you had to save. And here, again, there's only so many minions that Clar3nce can throw down, take the hit, drop down to 20. I know it sucks, but now you could have dropped down a couple more. You could have had a little bit more of a buff center, and he's still throwing it out. So he is in desperation mode right now to clear out. And I understand that, yes, Clar3nce has that upper hand, but it just feels too rushed. Sasajiro just threw away huge cards in his hand, and now he has really nothing to protect himself against the impending onslaught.
Yes, Sasajiro between a rock and a tough place right now. That Voracious Reader, if you can get it and like maybe play something else in hand to draw some cards, but Tent Trasher coming out and there's more rush in hand. It's an uphill battle from Sasajiro for sure. Just skimming through the deck list, I'm really not sure what you're even looking for at this point. You're going to be able to draw a card off Voracious Reader here, get a hit into the face. Voracious Reader going to get buffed, but it still dies in one hit to this Tent Trasher.
Yeah, at this point, I've been so hard on him, but honestly, RNG has also not been in his favor, right? This is kind of the drawback here in a lot of these games is you feel rushed, and if you can't catch a tempo, if you can't slow yourself down and say, hey, got time to work with, you have a little bit of resources to work with. If you throw all your resources too quickly, this is what happens. It's pretty much all downhill at this point. I actually don't think there's any way to stop this. Already stacking up with, I think, 11 on the board plus an extra 4. So next turn should be lethal. And I mean, there is nothing to protect. Honestly, if Clar3nce wants to, he could just devoid of any of the Murlocs that are going to be set down, any of the totems that might be set down, and just go straight for the kill here at the very end.
Yeah, going for the face, probably what will occur. Lushwater Scout coming through. We'll be able to drop another Murloc and be able to trade out on the board, so can deal with that 4-2, but that is looking like about it. Gonna hit in the face there. Interesting play. If you would have waited and then swung, there's a chance to buff that to a 6-4. Not going to matter trading out the Tent Trasher, so rather than the buff onto the 3-5, but still a very, very dire situation. Didn't have enough mana to try and squeeze out the second Voracious Reader in that play at all. Not able to refill their hand. And at the end of the day, Clar3nce is looking like they're going to coast to an easy 2-0 advantage here. Going to drop the ETC down right now. Bumper car to follow. Oh, Dark Moon Rider first. There's, second Dark Moon Rider. There's the bumper car. You can't hide it from me. Swinging in, going to deal a whole lot of damage to face. One more Oh, that's going to be lethal. You can play it again, get 2 more off the ETC, swing up the base. Don't even need to play the other one off the bumper car. Clar3nce in game number 2 finds more than enough, threw everything in the kitchen sink, but all they needed was that first dirty fork, and here we are up 2 games to none.
That has to feel good if you are Clar3nce right now. You straight up say, cool, I'm reversing it now. This is playoffs. This is where it matters to pull off any type of victory, right? This is where it matters. Doesn't matter about the regular season. You already made it to playoffs. Cool. Now I'm going to show you why I am doing so well and why I deserve to be in this playoff slot. So now you know it's a low-cost Rush Warrior. So this time around, Sasajiro has complete and full knowledge of what should be coming out. Big question mark, of course, again, is the fact that so far, Sasajiro has kind of fallen into that pit of being scared of everything, right? You have to be able to slow down. He's going to go back with the Shaman this time. So I feel like I am mistaken. No, he just played the Rush Warrior. I'm so sorry. That's why it's the Druid right now. So my brain does not want to work, but again, there are points where I'm just sitting here like Sasajiro, if he just slows down and takes a look, a little bit of a read on the table of maybe what cards, right, Clar3nce is holding, he has a better chance of stalling out. He needs to give himself a little bit more time to breathe at points in some of these games.
Gonna coin out the Murloc Tidehunter. Very solid start right off the gates here. Shapeshift going to be able to take care of that 2-1 on the left-hand side. It's going to be interesting. Sasajiro just needs such a strong start to get under this list, to really do some damage early on, because once Clar3nce gets going with this Druid, it's a tough one to stop.
Ooh, well, I'm actually liking it right now because Clar3nce, unfortunately, I don't know if he mulliganed or not, but he is sitting with some high-cost cards in his hand. Yes, he has a Lightning Bloom, but it's not really enough to pop anything out. So you can actually see that's the Whack-A-Null right there, and it's gonna give enough damage to actually drop Clar3nce down 220, I believe. 2 more hits. Okay, 21, so a little bit off on the math, but this is actually a pretty good setup. So he has the Nothing plus the Cold Light Seers sitting on the backside. So if he drops a Voration and actually tries to draw another couple 2 costs, he should be in a somewhat decent positioning. However, this sweep right here is going to be enough to kind of stall out that aggression. That was kind of the whole thing, is that Crab Rider was going to dish out a lot of damage to Clar3nce directly, but can't do it too much now, and now he's going to be forced into the Cold Light Seer move.
Yeah, it's going to trade in, dropping the Cold Light, full well knowing that the trade will come through survival of the fittest, drawn right there in hand. The top end of this deck is just absolutely terrifying right now. Clown in hand as well with the Innervate. There's a lot of just dirty things that can be done. Sasajiro has to get this board going and going in a hurry. There is Fire Magic Flurgle. Very strong, very solid. I like what's happening put on the board. And there's nothing that really be immediately done, but a second survival of fit is coming through. There's Tail End Forwarding. Going to be a solid taunt wall to start things off, but for the moment, Sasajiro gets to keep their board.
Yeah, and I actually like what he did. So instead of tossing down the Lushwater second to give an extra buff of 1/1, you get the extra health. So he understands that the big cost cards are coming. So dropping 5s means that he now has enough of a buffer wall to try and sneak in a little bit more damage. And keep in mind, Clar3nce, he won't be able to actually do anything with these high cost cards until about 2 turns from now. So he's going to drop that and actually toss out the Twilight Runner, I think, and maybe try and get to stealth. No, actually going to go for the Primordial Protector. I am blind. I forgot that he had that in his hand as well. This is why you don't let me try and read any of the cards. That's probably the worst idea possible. But sitting with a 6/6/5/5, the Murlocs are still going to do it. Yeah, that's enough to actually pop over, I think, lethal. So that's 10. Yeah, that's way more.
Easily.
That's gone. Murlocs win, baby.
Wow. Murgle gets the win. Game number 3. Sasajiro saying, hold on just a second. I am not ready to relinquish my playoff life just yet, and did it in the nick of time. I'll tell you what that game felt like. It felt like the whole time Sasajiro was just on an inner tube in whatever river the Hoover Dam is on, and it was just building. You saw the double Carnival Clown. You saw double survival of the fittest, and all just chilled on the inner tube. And guess what? The dam held off. They got the win. Running it back now, we're going to see the Rush Warrior from Sasajiro. Orbital, is there a chance here? I know you said last game if you went down 0-2, there was not a chance, but there's some hope. But my heart is just filled with a hope for this man after that inspiring win with Murlocs.
You know, Murlocs is one that I love because, again, if you play any of those games, you know Murlocs, they don't get enough love. So getting love now, saying that they're one of the top decks is great. We got to be realistic, though. Sasajiro with this warrior did not have a great time. And this time, yes, he has a little bit better starting hand. Clar3nce sitting with 9, 9, and 8. Yeah, he's probably going to have to swap all those out. You can see that full replacement here. Again, though, last deck that Sasajiro has to play with is that Priest, which does not give me enough confidence. That's why I was hoping to see him pull out a few more to give himself maybe 2 times with that deck to really give yourselves a little extra time and a little bit extra pressure to make that deck work. Now, though, it's going to come down to 1 turn, 1 chance, kind of thing with that deck. So if he wins with this, that's great. I'm still not thrilled about the impending 5th game.
I'll tell you what, the parade leader with this hand is looking spicy. Don't get your nose and or mouth region too close to your monitor, because Sasajiro's hand is looking spicy. A little bit too hot to handle. We're gonna see Lightning Bloom come out right here, get a little bit of ramp into the coin, into the Twilight Runner. Very, very massive turn 2. It's gonna be a lot of card draw coming through. Here's a bumper car. And another bumper car. And they're gonna crack in for 2 to the face, but does build a sizable board right here. You got to kill that parade leader. Does it before they even draw the cards from the turn on the screen for me. Going to be able to trade that out. Draws 2 cards. Passes the turn back over.
Yeah, and this is going to go fast and furious. And you're going to see a stack up to about the 5 or 6 locks for the mana pools. And again, this is what Sasajiro needed. He wasn't able to get it in the first game versus the Paladin. This time around, he has plenty to start stacking up. But keep in mind, Clar3nce sitting with the Carnival Clowns in hand and a few extra Innervate and the Wild Growth. So he has the opportunity to actually pressure through. And you can see here, I think he guessed it. Yeah, so that should be the lake pressure in his hit. Nope, I'm mistaken.
No, he guessed it.
No, he did get it. He did get it.
Yeah,
okay.
The animation puts it back in the deck and then you draw it.
Because that makes sense. When you're already drew it, you're like, all right, I got to shuffle it back in real quick and draw it again. I'm so sorry. That is going to be a little drop on his shield, but already Sasajiro has a nice setup. So he's looking at, I think,
11.
that is 12 sitting on the board. So no, make that 15. He has 15 if he can just straight up attack. So right now, Clar3nce is fighting for survival. So Sasajiro actually might push it to a game 5, which would be extremely, extremely impressive in my eyes.
Guardian Animals coming through. We don't hit the taunt, but we do find some ability to attack right out the gates here. Going to be able to take away a sizable portion of that board. Leaves Sasajiro with 9 damage, but 6 of it going to be dedicated to dealing with that taunt. Venomous Scorpion coming through. Has some options to give minions a hand. Taunt. None of these looking super appetizing to me, if I'm being 100% honest. Not finding exactly what they're looking for right there. You can trade in some bumper cars here and get 1/1s with Rush to trade out with the Twilight. You're going to trade both of them in, trade the Twilight with your face, and I assume play out something. We're going to see the Warsong Challenge or Warmaul Challenger come through right here. Battle that to death. It does work, so that's actually big brain play. I wasn't thinking about that going through, but yeah, makes a lot of sense. Actually a very solid counter right here. Overgrowth going to use up the whole turn for Clar3nce. This is Sasajiro's time to strike.
Yeah, and sitting with both venomous Scorpids, I think is actually going to help him a lot. So you can actually see him take the taunt cards. I believe he has it in his hand. Yeah, so if he actually gives these Scorpions double taunt, that actually gives him a really safe area, because he knows at this point Clar3nce should be dropping a lot of those high costs, the 7s and 8s that he has in his hand. So now you're sitting there, you're looking at it and going, okay, cool. What can I do? Well, every time you drop down any minion, you're going to trade its life, right? If he drops to give the taunt. So now you're sitting at 9. You can only really go for 1. The Carnival Clowns are there, but he might actually have to sacrifice it. He would rather corrupt it with the survival of the fittest, but at this point, he's looking a little bit shaky. So he could give a little bit of time, and I think that would actually work. If he sacrifices here, I think the most that he will probably take is up to 7 or 8, depending. But he goes ahead, drops the Primordial Protector, and is going to sit once again with... Oh, that's mean.
Oh man, that's I mean, do you trade in though to the 1/3s just to get him off the board?
It looks like he's gonna have to, because we do see the rushes. You actually see 3 rush with the Dark Moon Rider, so could be really annoying. And there we go. Yep, that's why. So automatic attacks. You get a little set, and he's actually going to wait. So this could actually be a huge turn for Clar3nce to drop because he has everything. He's been sitting on the Carnival Clown and the survival of the fittest for so long.
Wow. The patience shown by Clar3nce right here. Sasajiro's going to have a tough time fighting through these Carnival Clowns. Going to get more Ruffians, however, next turn. Is able to channel with a few of them. What exactly does the hand look like here? We're going to start with the ETC. This is going to be big. ETC will be able to land a lot of damage. There's a Darkmoon Rider. There's 2 more Darkmoon Riders. That's already 6 to face. This is going to be lethal if I'm not mistaken. There's 2. That's going to be 4 off that. 6. You can trade in. Oh, or is it just very close?
I think it's very close.
No, it's
Can he
going to
convert it? Yeah.
No, it's
No.
very
He's
close.
saved.
He's saved. He's got 1 turn. He's got to deal with the ETC. No, because the Ruffians at the end of turn. That's lethal. They both attack face. Oh my goodness, Sasajiro. We're going to game 5.
No one saw it. Oh, Sasajiro, the big brain plays. Big brain freaking plays right there.
Somebody call the HVAC guy. I'm sweating in here. This collar isn't doing me well today. Just like that, we are down to the wire. Sasajiro trying to pull up the reverse sweep in the quarterfinals. It doesn't get better than this in Collegiate Hearthstone. I promise you that much. But in order to go the distance, Orbital, he has to win with this Priestless.
Yeah, and I'm not going to lie. I looked at the hand, right? And it felt like Clar3nce had everything. He had the survival of the fittest, right? The 10 cost, could have dropped it down, used a full corrupt, and gotten a huge set of taunts coming out with that Carnival Clown, and yet he decided not to. And I would love, if he actually wins, I would love to ask him about that, right? What was the thought process? Maybe I'm just like, that stupid kid. It's like, oh, why didn't you see that, right? Big brain just slaps you on the head with a little bit of a hammer. And if so be it. But I feel that Clar3nce should have had that, and now he has to do it one more time. Sasajiro, one chance, this is your last chance to bring it home. And if he does, I think this would be the second reverse sweep that he's been able to pull off. I'm not sure. Call me out on that. I think he pulled off a reverse sweep in the regular season, so we'll see if he can do it here again.
Yeah, it would be much bigger to do so in the playoffs. We're going to see this turn 2 is looking solid. See that Wand Maker on the far left, that will come out. 1 cost spell being added to hand right there. Good start for Sasajiro. I really like the hand. There's a lot of range. There's a lot of variety to it. There's a lot that can be done. Escape Shift going to put 1 damage into that Wand Maker, but it's going to be able to crack in. That Wand Maker is going to get a lot of value, doing 6 damage across the course of his life. Hothead coming through as well right there. Sasajiro got to be very happy with this start, Orbital.
Oh yeah, and again, this is he's gonna make me eat my words, and that's the scariest part of all of this. I'm gonna eat my words about the priest. He's gonna come up here on the broadcast on an interview and just be like, bro, I told you. Why didn't you listen to me? I told you about all this, and I'm just gonna have to sit there and yep, you were right. But he's already pulling a couple, so he goes ahead, grabs the Onyx, and getting these random cells. I'm wondering, he gets another renew. I think he had one earlier, so that's gonna help out. And so let's see what he decides to pick up. Has the idol, which
I would have grabbed the idol just for the sauce. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm definitely a scrub. I'm definitely a splashy guy. I'm definitely the cannonball instead of the swan dive. And man, that's tough to pass on.
He went for the swan dive. He went with the auspicious spirits, so it is gonna have a little bit of fun since he already has a 5 cost. So decides to go ahead and do the nameless one. So that's actually gonna help. So go ahead, trade 1 for 1 in a situation where you actually had to burn 2 instead, and actually picks up the Moonfang for himself as well. So now Clar3nce kind of has to be a little bit worried about this. Because of the fact that Moonfang is up. If he doesn't have any type of silence, and yeah, this is going to be a massive shield. That's just a straight up shield for him right now.
Oh man, Mankrik to follow up as well. Gonna shuffle that into the deck. That is a massive wolf right there. A traitorous massive wolf. E2 Brute coming out. Sasajiro, that's huge.
Yeah, that's gonna be a little bit scary. So here we go. Has a couple more taunts. So Clar3nce actually drew pretty hard right there, and this is the combo that he uses to kind of clear out as quickly as it can. Still though, you're sitting on Moonfang. You're like, bro, how do I do this? I'm still waiting to see an enraged Mankrik come out. I've seen it happen once or twice where you see a little setup, but that was a good play by Sasajiro, able to force out a 1, and he's just gonna go ahead, take this one and set it up in a 6-4 position. So Gonna go ahead and keep healing up. This is his pseudo shield now. This is straight up it. The Moonfang is just hardcore playing for the other team. And Clar3nce is like, bro, really, in the 5th game, you are doing this to me right now?
This Moonfang carrying the hopes of Sasajiro right now. All of Pittsburg State University, their eyes are on this big, dumb wolf that just refuses to die. Auspicious Spirits coming through. It will have the corruption, so you are going to get a 7-cost minion right there. Apotheosis, the big dumb wolf is bigger and dumber. 16 HP. Clar3nce, what is happening? Oh my gosh, the flips have been, the scripts have been flipped, the chips have been dipped. Guardian Animals coming through. That's going to be a lot of card draw. Animated Broomsticks to boot. But still, just massive stuff from Sasajiro here down the line.
I mean, this is 2-turn lethal. If he straight up can't do anything, actually now I think that's pretty dang close to straight. Yeah, he actually surrendered. That was it.
Clar3nce
that was actually, it was 2 turn into 1 turn, and Clar3nce actually surrendered.
Sasajiro absolutely pulls off the reverse sweep. I'm at a loss for words. Nameless One coming through. Huge down the stretch. You know, we doubted it off air. We talked about this Priestless. We talked about Sasajiro coming in. Their tier rankings a little bit lower. Clar3nce looked like they had the upper hand. One with a Secret Paladin, one with the Rush Warrior, and the Clown Druid just couldn't get it done.
No, it couldn't. And again, I swear, and someone's going to call me out in the chat or wherever you want to go to. I swear Clar3nce had that in the bag. He had the survival of the fittest, could have dropped it down, get the board of 8 of all Carnival Clowns, right? All taunts and everything. You have enough to sustain through a lot of that aggression, a lot of that, you know, quick burst, the rushes and everything of that sort. And he chose not to. Instead, he only had 3 Carnival Clowns up. Still got absolutely crushed there. And so the Carnival had to shut down. Everything had to shut down. And now he lost the entire series and he's out. So the show's over. You get to pack up and go home. And Sasajiro comes out with a reverse sweep in a crucial setup with an extremely surprising deck list.
An unlikely comeback to trailing 0-2 puts the finishing touches on it with this interesting heel control Priestless. Nameless One, the MVP, just absolutely put the whole team on the back, said, get on the back, Gorillas. I can take us where we need to go. Banana peels everywhere. Man, you gotta feel for Clar3nce right now. Johnson and Wales is heading home a little bit early. These Wildcats have been tamed here to open up our first match of the night.
Yeah, and I mean, if that's the opening, I can't imagine the rest of the show, right? You know, the opening fight of any boxing match is not supposed to be the one that's the most exciting. That's not the point. There is a title fight at the end. You don't open with a banger and then have to pray that the rest can follow up. It's supposed to be slow and momentous. So I am thrilled that the first series of the evening was a best of 5 and reverse sweep at that.
Thrilled indeed. We are going to take a quick aside, but as you said, this was undercard number 1 in a night full of matchups of momentous proportions. Excited to see what comes next. Don't go anywhere unless it's to your fridge for a quick refreshment. We'll be right back on the other side.
Hey man, I just can't find a comfortable headset. I mean, I've tried everything. Literally everything.
Jeez, my brother. I got you.
The HyperX Cloud2 Wireless. Legendary comfort goes wireless.
That is comfortable.
And welcome back to our coverage of the quarterfinals here in the NECC. We just saw what may have been one of the more exciting matchups that I think I've witnessed in the NECC. If you're just joining us, Clar3nce from Johnson and Wales jumping out to a quick 2-0 lead. But hold on just a second, because these Gorillas from Pittsburg State University were not done just yet. Sasajiro coming back, winning in dramatic fashion in game number 5 with the lowest win rate list that we've seen all day long.
Yeah, priests don't really have a good reputation currently, and yet it worked wonders. And I think we saw one of the kind of cool factors of why some of these players might want to start running this deck, right? In a situation where you end up having a weaker side deck, and you're like, cool, what can I take? Well, if you know the deck list, that's actually what happened here, right? Ended up with a copy of Moonfang and then just hard buffed that minion. It ended up being a pseudo tank. You can't take it down. It only takes 1 damage per turn. Don't have a silence like the priest did. Ended up falling to its own minion. That's kind of how you turn the snake onto itself, right? And so fantastic job in that 5th game to be able to clutch out a win.
Yeah, tossing double apotheosis onto the moon thing was absolutely gorgeous or backbreaking, depending which side of the board you were on. Moving forward, after seeing that list come through and put up, are you expecting to see anyone else run a similar priest list in the next round?
I think I took a little bit of a peek earlier. So I cheated. I cheated in this sense, which, whatever. I'll take that as much as I want. But I think we do see another priest coming out. However, I don't think it's the same one. I think this one is a full spell priest, so more reliant on casting as many spells as possible. It's very different than the normal priest that we normally see. A normal priest where you throw down a couple high cost minions, you buff them all to hell, and then it just swamps your opponent. In this sense, I think it's more about just trying to lay down little patterns here and there. So even if we do see another priest come out today, I wonder if we're going to see it even later on, because everyone's going to look at this game and go like, maybe I do want a secret priest coming out, that little mirror that kind of catches my opponent off guard.
Absolutely. You know what? If you're cheating, we may as well just join you. They can't send everyone to detention. Essentially, let's look at this next matchup. NECC also representing PSU. Go Gorillas going up against Steve from Durham.